you start, and then I
Hi,
will
everyone.
shut up for an entire hour. So get ready for it.
Hi, everyone.
And go.
And welcome to the Chai Tea Tai Chi web show. I am Dane Dormio. I'm here with my good buddy Andrew Brown, and we are in for a ride tonight. Mark Johnson, who has been studying Taoist arts for 50 years and made a vow to lead from behind 37 years ago, or 40 years ago, is about to take us on a ride to new heights and new depths. So I'm looking forward to seeing wherever this is going to leading. But one thing in particular I'm curious about is what's your origin story and what got you started on this whole path. So if that's as good a place as any to pick it up, then start us off.
Sure you got 2 hours instead of one, that's all. Well, I gave up on Christianity when I was 15, wrote a couple of theses on it and said, be gone, Satan, you know. So I left and I went out to a Hindu center for 10 solid years at Vedanta, you know, the highest level of Vedanta that I could find. And I was there 10 years. And then I decided I was much more interested in Taoism and the progress and the science that they use. So I dropped that. I went out to find the Taoist on the West Coast. I heard there was a bunch of them. And I ended up with going into a Buddhist, Zen Buddhist center for about a year, but I only went there on the weekends. I'm just looking to see what his name was. He's pretty damn famous. So I spent a year with him. But then he died, so I had to leave again. And I started wandering around looking for Taoists again, and I found some in LA. And I stayed with them 3 years. You may have heard of them. It's the Taoist Center of Los Angeles, and it's that famous movie actor turned Taoist. So I was there 3 years, and then I got invited to Taiwan to study Tai Chi and acupuncture, so I went. But I didn't like the teacher, so I was in a real estate office and said, do you have any Tai Chi teachers in this area? And by the way, my entire life, my entire book is all about synchronicities. I get them by the hundreds. You can too. And it's people are not taking advantage of that, and that's going to be a major theme in what I say, among 6 or 7 other 100 things I'm going to say. That the importance of synchronicities and how to draw them to you, and then after a while, you don't have to even draw them to you; they will come flying, banging into you, and your life will change. Everywhere you go seems to be right at the right moment, at the right time, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so that's one thing. So I didn't like that bunch. I went to Taiwan, and I was in a real estate office and said, I'm looking for a teacher. They said there's one a block away, and he speaks a little English, so I went there. And that was the greatest individual I've known before or since. I became a student for 28 years. Then he kicked me out. That's the way they do things. Everybody around me was crying. And I said, hey, you don't know what graduation looks like, you know, in Taoism. First of all, they reject you 3 times, which he did. He threw me out 3 times in front of 75 movie stars every damn other week. And that was testing my resolve, see? And so I knew what he was doing, and I stuck with him for 22 years. Wow, what a life I've had in that time, just being in his presence. So anyway, that's enough of him. I don't want to overdo that. Let's get back to me. So that's how I did it. I went from one thing to another. And the synchronicities were there the whole time. If I decided to make a change and And by the way, I'm going to attack your number 3 pretty soon, and I'm going to attack and get you into number 9s. You're going to be 9 lovers before I leave here tonight.
Yeah, I love 9.
The hell with it. Kindergarten 3 stuff. The entire the entire foundation of the ancient 4000 BC Taoists, and those are the ones I studied the most. And I went around and I studied the what do you call it? The oracle bones, the flat part of the animal, the very first scratchings of the Chinese. I studied that 3 months in New York City. It was the only library and the only book that had all of that. So I moved there, and you couldn't take it out of the building. So for a couple of months, I read nothing but the original scratchings. And then I'm going to show you something in a minute that's going to blow you away. Okay, so I did that for a while, and they were called the oracle bones. And then the Chinese started scratching on the turtle shells to do the divination. Heat it up and let it go pop like that. And the paw sound is the sound you get when you heat a turtle shell up to get divination. Then they gave up on the turtles and went with the I Ching. Totally screwed up. Me and another guy in Philadelphia are rewriting the I Ching as being 9 lines instead of 6. Wow, the information is mind-boggling. And I'm going to show you something about that then too. But in the meantime, I want to show you what Qi really means. I'm sick of people not knowing it. And so here it is. This is what the character looks like today. Okay. And it is three lines up there, and then a construction with something in it. Oh God, everything's backwards from what I'm looking at. Okay, and there's something in it. So okay, that was really a pot. I'm going to show you that in a minute. It was a pot with rice in it. And this was the lid being blown off with the pushing energy. Here's what that looked like. That's Qi right there. And this is what it looked like in the oracle bone.
Oh, funny.
It was can you imagine being a nice little Neanderthal or a Devisonian, 20, 30, 50,000 years ago. And they make this pot, just a little pot, and they put water in it, and they put some rice. This is rice. Even the modern people say originally it was rice in there. Well, it was, because I found the one that they got it from, it looked just like that, a complete pot with the lid being blown off, and that's the vapors that blew it off. And it was obviously the sound was when this was a big, heavy, concrete kind of thing that they cook out of, put a lot of water and so forth, and then it heats it up, and then can you imagine being a Neanderthal and sitting there minding your own business, and all of a sudden you hear, and the lid blows up, and you look down in there, and all you see is bubbly water with some, stuff floating around. Okay, that became the not only power. It is a not only just power and energy. It isn't just energy. It's mysterious energy, because they couldn't figure out what blows the damn thing off. Because every time we look down, it's just bubbling away, harmlessly with rice all over the place. Get it? So that probably went on for a hell of a long time. So what I'm getting at in all of this is the character for Qi was meant to be not just power, but a mysterious power. They couldn't figure out how that, why did bubbling water blow the lid off of there? And it's a heavy lid, I'm sure. So anyway, that's the number one thing I wanted to show you was the evolution of the word. It just kept getting more and more, fresh.
Can you hold them up side by side?
Yeah. See, there's the pot. There's the pot, and there's the rice, and there's the lid flying
Can
off.
you move it over?
Yeah.
We can't see both of them.
Both of them in one.
Yeah. So the one on the right is the character for Chinese. The one on the left is obviously the drawings that were the precursors for modern characters.
Yeah.
Or for characters over the last few thousand years.
Yeah. They evolved them because you couldn't draw that every time. It took a long time to do
Yeah.
that. So
It's a lot of marks.
They did half the pot. They do that in everything right now.
Yeah.
And they've simplified beyond this stage too. Now to where I can't even read Chinese anymore. They've made everything new. They took the character for heart out of the word heart. Can you freaking believe that? Those idiots. And then they're writing horizontally like
love. Yeah.
Yeah, and my teacher said,
Heartless love.
"Oh, you people write like crabs walk. You know, it's no wonder you're not as smart as we are." And he pointed out how the Neanderthals went straight up to out of Africa, straight up into the cold. And they survived very well because they're powerful, but they're not too bright. And we got 7% of Neanderthal in us, right? 7%. You go over to China and there's no Neanderthal whatsoever because the Devisonians came up over the roof, the frozen North Pole, and slowly built up in China and Russia. So the Devisonians are obviously a different breed entirely from the others, and they are smarter than us. I've spent a lot of time in China, and oh my God, yeah. Teacher Mark, I teach Chinese English. Teacher Mark, why is the word small bigger than the word big? That was my first day at work. It's like, oh, good. Well, forget it. English doesn't make much sense, and so forth. Okay, anyway, that's that. I also wanted to say, so you got the origin of the character. Qi doesn't just mean energy. It means mysterious, powerful energy. And there is characters for energy per se, but it doesn't have all of the fixtures that this does. Okay, so that's it. I wanted you to show you the origin of the character. Then I wanted to show you next our attempt to change the I Ching and why.
Okay.
Now, I remember that because you were all that Jewish monk. He said there's 40 different things right here in my own apartment, and he's right. There's 40 different things, but there's some that are a hell of a lot more better than others. And I wrote 3 of them, 3 different versions with 3, at the Taoist Center, and then with my teacher, and then with a group of people. Okay, so I did 3, and I want to show you all in the whole world the better ones. What's that say? The Book of Changes and the Unchanging Truth. That's the Yellow Emperor, and he's looking at a turtle in the corner. Can you see the turtle down there?
Just barely, but yes.
So they were using turtles before he came along, and they make him look like a prehistoric man because he was. That was really a long time ago, the Yellow Emperor. Anyway, this book is my teacher, and we spent 8 years on it and writing the book, and to be simple and powerful. And that's my motto in every book I do. And here's my book, by the way, Life as Play. There's Lao Tzu in the corner with a little yin-yang thing in the corner. And it's the secret to synchronicities. I don't know, can you read the words that are alongside his face?
Live compassionately, intuitively, spontaneously, and miracles begin.
Yes. And so this idea that I see around me constantly now that I'm really going to speak about, that I've kept my mouth shut for 40 years, is that everybody is convinced they are a wave on the ocean, and And they're all trying to get wetter than the other waves. They spend their entire existence spiraling around, trying to get wetter than the other waves. And they don't realize that they are the entirety of the ocean. And if you keep yourself open and empty, it'll come through you all the time in the form of compassion, intuition, spontaneity. Miracles will begin, and life truly is play. I never had a bad day in my life for probably the last 30 years. And this version is coming out in a month with 3 more chapters. This is my 4th edition, and every couple of months something else hits me. Bam! Now we got 3 more chapters, and it's about the end of the human race. So you might really be interested in seeing that one. That's a month from now, but that's what it looks like. Life is play, and it has one synchronicity after another that is so hard to believe. I left some of the worst, the most powerful ones out because nobody would believe me. But there's a lot of them in there that are believable, and they took over my life because of these reasons. Get out your notebook and write this down. I forget where I was. What did I just say?
Your synchronicities are so powerful that people wouldn't believe them, and you wanted to share a few stories about how we find synchronicity. Yes,
and it is not by what I see people doing is, dear Lord, I want a Mercedes. Everything is energy, as we all know, and you two admitted that. So we got common. It's just the 3 and the 9 we're going to discuss in a few minutes. Okay. Remind me to bring that up again, because that's going to be the biggest change in your life right there. 9 from 3 to 9. Okay, now where was I now? What was I just saying about the energy?
Anita Ray says, tell us one you left out.
The what again?
Benita Ray says, tell us one you left out.
One of the stories from your book that you left out because they were so unbelievable.
Oh, really?
Your story.
All right.
Yeah, give us one. Give us one.
I can give you my teachers too, by the way.
Well, we don't have time. Let's just hear one story and we'll move on.
All right. I was working in New York City. That's when I did the advanced thing I was in the library most of the time. Working in New York as a graphic designer, and woke up in the morning at 6 in the morning and froze. And I said, oh, I hate New York, and I don't particularly like my life, and where am I going, and why am I so stupid to be here into this stuff? And so I said, what do I want to do? I want to be in Tahiti and have sex with the natives and eat and fruit off the trees for the rest of my life. So, bam! I called up, says I want my paycheck, and I used that money to get a car to get on a boat. I was going to work my way over on a boat to Tahiti. And they said, well, sorry, Sonny, we don't go from New York to Tahiti. You got to do it from the West Coast of the United States. Okay, fine. So I jumped back in another taxi, and I taxi out onto the freeway that goes down the eastern part of the United States. So, by that time, I'm down to about $40-50 left, but who cares? I'm on my way. And that was an epiphany. Okay, now I'm sitting there. I just got there, and this guy comes driving up and stops with his wife. And he said, jump in, takes off. Where are you from? And I said, oh, I'm from central Pennsylvania, which is a long way from here. And they said, whoa, so are we. And then I said, I'm from Phillipsburg. Oh, so are we. They're 200 miles out of the way going down to where I want to go. And there they were, picked me up, and they said, well, you'll be the son we never had if you agree to drive. Okay, so I started driving with $40 on me, and they paid for everything the whole way down. See what I mean? What are the chances that you pick up somebody? Oh, and they said he worked for my father, who was the greatest man they ever met, And so you must be pretty decent yourself. And I said, don't count on it. And so up we went, and that was one of them. And halfway down, I was into psychic phenomena and religions and stuff. We went past Duke University, and I said, hey, can I stop here for a second? And it was Friday night. Everybody had gone home, and we finally found our way there. And I got to the building, and they said, this is the Psychic Center of, what's his name? Those two famous guys. And there was two guys out front, walked up, it was them. So they didn't go home. They turned around and took me up and gave me a test, psychological test, because they heard I was coming to Florida to a friend. And they said, your psychic ability with this coins and stuff is so bad, you have to be psychic to be that bad. You are self-sabotaging yourself. Well, that was an interesting perspective. And they said, interview these 22 people down in your area and tell us who you like, because they knew how skeptical I was about all this stuff and so forth. So anyway, I ended up with them. And that weekend, the three LSD guys came down there and introduced LSD to that psychic department, and they all got high that night. It was like the weekend from hell, and I was there for it. And see what I mean? Well, that was just another one on the way down. But that's the way my life was from there till now. Just doors open. I don't say, dear Lord, give me this. I just say, okay, universe, what do you want from me today? And then I stay open. Then I open myself and empty myself. And the next thing I know, whoosh, an idea hits me or something, or somebody needs me somewhere. See what I mean? And I just live that way now. It's completely spontaneous and open and empty. And those are the three words I want you to learn.
Spontaneous, open, and empty.
Intuitive and empty. And if you do that, you don't have to work your ass off to get through the gates of heaven. I tell everybody that the secret to the gate to heaven is it isn't locked. You don't need anything. The doors are wide open. Nobody's interested. They'd rather, play, I'm wetter than you are, and I'm a bigger wave than you are.
Yeah.
And if you just stay open and empty and let it come, it will. And then there'll be synchronicities beyond belief that like the two I just told you. You should hear what happened to my teacher when he came over to finally join me in the United States. I'm the one that discovered him, brought him to this country. Are you familiar with him? If you're not, this is his book. I think I showed it to you.
Okay, so that's his book.
Yes, that's his book. And it took us 8 years to do. He had a photographic memory. He didn't know much English, and so I had to work with him constantly. But the guy is an absolute, genius. And not only that. So, okay. Any questions? Because I'm going to switch to why nine is much more fruitful. And
I have questions.
Okay.
What kind of exercises or practices do you do to make yourself feel open and just accepting and ready for something to happen?
Okay.
Instead of being like focused on the world and focused on what I have to do today, goal oriented, and I'm just gonna go and do the things I need to do, but just be relaxed and open. What do you do?
I used to be that way, but not anymore. I just sit there and let the world come to me. It's a hell of a lot easier. Anyway, okay. What was the question again, real quick? I didn't hear some of it, and you got the loudest voice, so just repeat it.
So, what kind of practices or mantras, or what do you do to yourself to make yourself get into that space where you're open and accepting instead of focused and goal oriented?
I don't do anything. I just sit there and do empty and open. When you start doing something, means you're going somewhere. You want something. I haven't wanted anything in probably 20 years, and it just keeps piling in on me. It's unbelievable. Even in these hard times, people started buying my DVDs because they're sitting at home, nowhere to go. We heard of Tai Chi. We think we'll try it. I wasn't selling that well before because the corporations kicked me down below from the top. I sold 800,000 of them, which is not bad for a little Pennsylvania boy. And then I got cut off of the corporations, got pissed off, and quit trying. And then they got me. I got involved with other stuff, and they starting the NQA, and oh my God! So you got to come to our conferences. Did that answer your question? What was your question again?
Well, yeah, it answered the question. So let's move on. So
you
wanted to talk about 3, 6, and 9 and the power of the triangle versus the non-octagon and all that. So go ahead. Yeah. So Jane has a question.
I've got a question for you, Mark.
Okay.
What in your mind, what does it mean to be a practicing Taoist?
It means someone who is not practicing anything and is open. That's the ultimate what it means. But if most people that I know, their subconscious has sabotaged their life. So that's the first thing I teach them is the breathing technique, 3-to-1 ratio that builds up inside you to within an hour. You know that Norwegian guy, Wim Hof.
Wim Hof, yeah.
Yeah, Wim Hof. All right, I'm in touch with him. And you know, you have three Dantians, the lower, middle, and upper Dantian. Well, Wim is the perfect example of someone who has mastered that. See what I mean? He's getting healthy, happy, and strong. Well, that's fine. You know, most people are happy with that and they go for it. And I like the guy. He's just eccentric enough for me and so forth. But he's not getting into know your own divinity. And he isn't getting into stop thinking so much. And okay, the guy up here that does that has 200 people on the floor in their what's his name? He's in California, and it's called some kind of breathing.
Are you thinking of holotropic breathwork?
Yeah, holotropic breathwork. I went to see him because we were neighbors. His house.
Are you talking about Stan?
His house burned out. He's right next to me. And so I gave him some money, and I found out, hell, he's in the same thing I'm in. And he's the heart guy.
Are you talking about Stan Groff?
Stan Groff, yes.
Oh, okay.
So this is some more synchronicities. What can I say? This is just the way my life is. Okay, so there's Wim Hof, and there's Stan Groff. Right? It is even, sounds the same. He's up here taking your subconscious and blowing it out. Okay, but I already learned the Taoist version, which is more powerful than what he's got. So I told him about it, and he changed slightly. But what am I getting at? Oh, but so that's him. But there's nobody up here doing this. I work with the aura all day long when I'm teaching people, and it's like it's totally outside the body. And the name of my teacher's moves are called getting into the energy that's around you, the aura, getting into the aura, using the aura to work for you, and so forth. And we'll get into that in a minute. But here's back to number 9. And by the way, this is required viewing by everybody that knows me. Can you read it from there?
It's pretty small.
Yeah, it is. Well, you might have seen it. It's the one that says, I take melatonin for the diabetes caused by the hydrogen chloride oxide I take for the high blood pressure, which I got from the ambient that I take for insomnia caused by the eczema I take for the anxiety that I got from the Willow Burton. I take for the chronic fatigue, which I got from the, what's the name of that? Lupids or something like that. It's another drug. And so forth, and you work your way down, and it said, I take all that stuff because I have high cholesterol, because a healthy diet and integral Qigong are just too much trouble. Ta-da! And then you come up to Tai Chi for everybody. Okay, that's required viewing by everybody that meets me, and you're now you've joined the club. Just
before we move on, Mark, I just want to tell you that if you're not, if you're a practicing doctor and you have patients that are over 65 years old, if they're not on 9 drugs, then you're not a good doctor. You're not being kind to them. So why should we not be taking tons of pills every day?
Oh, good God. Because, okay, I'll tell you quickly. It's because they go after the symptom and not the cause. They go after the inflammation, so you don't feel any inflammation. But inflammation is your body trying to deal with it. But it gets too hot and painful. So, but you don't have to do that. You don't have to go after the inflammation. You go after the psychological thing that kept the chi from going through there. So all I do with everything I do is I direct the chi through the body and all the chakras, but mostly the 8 extra meridians. Are you familiar with those? The 8 extra meridians are reservoirs, and they're more powerful within your body. And there's a thrusting channel that comes out. What's the name of this?
The Baihui, or the nerves. Yeah.
It's what comes out Baihui and goes up through the perineum and around. So I'm constantly running that through, but it isn't to get anywhere. It's just
a cycle.
Did you know it's called the mud pill? MUDPILL, because it softens after a while. I got a hole there, and my teacher had a big hole in his, and that's why we became good friends right off the bat. When I went around the corner and saw him, and he looked at us like, "Oh no, not some more Americans." Not some more idiotic Americans that think matter matters, and they think their brain matters too. Keep that in mind. Forget the damn brain. If your brain isn't integrated with the rest of your 9 chakras, and you know there are 9, by the way. Did you know that there are 9?
Yeah, the one up here.
Yeah. The poor freaking Hindus, they only have 7, but we got 9. Right. And working from 1 to 9 up here, I'll show you how to do that later. Remind me to do it. And then the 9 right back down the front. It integrates them all. It's like rainbow, the different colors. And if they're next to each other and they're not integrated, you're screwed. And that's part of your subconscious. When you blow it out, when you do your 3-second inhale, and then and then get it like that.
Oh, okay.
You couldn't see my head because I'm rolling. I'm completely relaxed. And then do it for an hour, and your subconscious will come. You'll start screaming, "I hate you, mother!" Because on the top surface is rage. And then after that, they calm down for a little bit. And of course, what's his name? Who's that guy that you know his name?
Stan Groff.
Who?
Stan Groff.
Stan Groff, yes. Damn. Oh, I'll tell you why I have trouble with names. But get me back on the course. I was in my head just like you two. God, kitties, you two kitties. I was all in my head, just the biggest.
The proper term is whippersnappers, I believe.
Yeah, right. Millennials. Oh, those millennials, they drive me crazy. They're so. Anyway, where was I? Oh.
I'm pretty sure I'm millennial.
I'm telling you, because I was in my head so much, I fly fast planes. Okay, I've been doing it for years.
Okay.
Okay. And I went up with an idiot one day, and nobody told me he was before he got in the plane with him. So the engine shuts off after takeoff. He panics, pulls back on the stick, and we plowed through a shopping mall. And his what do you call that thing that holds you in there?
The harness.
Yeah, his harness stayed, and mine broke, and I went out through the window. Whammo, right through the plane, and I smacked into the building that we hit. It was a warehouse, and 150 miles an hour. And I see these lines here. They're not natural. There was a big X there at one time when they operated on me because I had my frontal lobe smashed off completely, and it took 8 hours for them to make an X right there and lift things out of the way so they get into here, find the pieces, glued them together, put it back, put in a titanium plate, and so forth. And it's like, whoa. But they assured me that there would be no brain damage. Brain damage whatsoever. That's a joke. Anyway, and to their surprise, I healed very fast, and I kept doing, and then I would direct it right and let it stop right and let it come back down. See, that 3-to-1 ratio is bringing it back down, so you are multiplying each time you do it. And my teacher said if their stomach can't go out, they're afraid of life, and if it can't go in, they're afraid of death. And most of the people I work with were afraid of both of them. Oh, and I didn't tell you, the first thing that comes out is rage. The second is sorrow. They cry their little asses off for hours, because that's, if you wouldn't have rage if you didn't have sorrow, get it? And right below that is fear. The fear is generating the rest of them, and they come out of you in that order. So when I have people laying all over the floor, one of them could be raging, the other could be crying, the other could be giggling. The third and last one is you start laughing spontaneously, and you can't stop laughing. Because, oh my God, I'm the entirety of everything, and I've been farting around in this wave of mine long enough. And so forth. What got me into that? Any more questions, or where are
3 and 9? We still haven't heard about this 3 and 9 thing.
Okay, it's important. It's really important.
Mark, you've mentioned you mentioned the work of Wim Hof and Stan Grof, and I noticed that you're on the logo on your shirt is Integral Tai Chi. I'm just wondering, when you're going to bring Ken Wilber and integral theory into this.
Well, I can, because I drove to his house after he got the attack of REDS, R-E-D-S, because I had the cure for it. And I was going to give it to him. I wasn't going to charge him or anything. So I drove to his house, and there was a lot of people there. And I was in the balcony, and, sitting quietly in the back. I was still, lead from behind. And I decided, I drove all this way for nothing, and this doesn't happen to me. So I said, well, I'm leaving now. I can't stay here any longer. So I went down to leave, and I saw this little cupboard in there. It turned out to be a little bedroom. So I went there and I said, I got to sit down and work this out of me, because it's really unusual that I do all of this and never get to see the guy. So I'm down there like this, and all of a sudden the door opens. Ken comes around, he slams the door, he pulls the blinds, and he goes, dear Lord, I don't have to deal with them any longer. And he turned around, and there I am sitting in the corner wondering whether to leave or not. I said, hey, it's funny you should mention it, but you got REDS, and I'll show you how to do it. So I showed him how to do it, get rid of it. And a couple of months later, some guy that keeps going to see him, that little guy, I'm really good friends with him. I can't remember his name. See, it's the memory of names. It's the only thing. I only got 3, what do you call those things, left out of the millions.
Brain cells?
Yeah. I only got 3 left, and I'm working the hell out of them. But anyway, it's mostly names that I can't remember. So I gave it to him. And then a month later, this guy that keeps going back and forth, and it's a Norwegian name, short guy. I really like him. He's smart as hell. Anyway, I said, has Ken done it yet? Has he cured himself? He said, no. Ken says he never heard of me, and he never heard of that technique, so he didn't do it. Typical response. So that's my relationship with Ken. I read all his books. I thought very highly of him, enough to drive from San Francisco to his house to tell him what to do. Didn't do it. And it was because of the lake up there. There was poison put in it, and a lot of people died. Ken is one of the few that lived through it, but he ended up with REDS, flat on his back for 9 months, up again, shaky and too bad, and then on his back for 9 months. He did that for many years. And I haven't seen him lately. So that's my story with Ken Wilber. I've met them all, and all of them in China too. And I stuck with my teacher, Ni Hua Ching. Look him up. He's extraordinary. And the more time I was with him for 22 years in that clinic of nothing but movie stars. Oh my God, they drive me crazy.
So what did your teacher teach you? What were you guys spending all that? You spent so many years with him. What was he teaching you, like, on a day-to-day basis?
In my case, he was very concerned about, Mark, I want you to sit in the back, in the corner, and keep your mouth shut. Because I had all the answers, and I made everybody look bad, to tell you the damn truth. But he wanted to see if I could actually do it. Well, he did koans. He said, what is the shape of your face before your mother was born? To 75 movie stars, and I'm back in the corner keeping my mouth shut. And they come up with the stupidest answers you ever saw in your life. Totally intellectual, totally mental. You know how you two like the mind. Well, they used it to where he kept saying, no, no, no. And finally, I just stood up and put a shoe on the top of my head. He said, that's correct. You're out of here again.
What?
That's the third time. Yeah.
Oh, my head.
Yeah, you won't keep out of the spotlight. And finally that's 3. He only gets 3, and I knew that. And it never happened again. I spent the next 22 years, learning all kinds of stuff. I learned bigu. Bigu is when you don't eat.
Bigu. Yeah, I've heard about that.
Yes. Okay. And how to hibernate. And I'm thinking of doing it now. And this is what's in my new book coming up. If you don't start, if we as humans don't start bringing up our subconscious and integrating it, you don't throw it away. It's good, solid energy in there. It's just it's sabotaging your life. Okay, so you bring it up, you talk to it, you say, join me, and it will. And it usually just says, the voice coming out of your own mouth says, that's all I wanted was to be, part of your conscious life. And I'm willing to work for you, and it will change your life, by the way. So that breathing technique I showed you, 3 in, 1 out, and you say ha. Ha is the frequency of the heart, by the way.
Okay. The 6 healing sounds, what you're talking about?
Okay, now I think it's getting a little late. I'm going to get into the 9. And
yes, I want to hear what you have to say. The
entirety of China is centered around the number 9. Feng Shui, which I also learned all 3 schools, taught all 3, and then decided I didn't like any of them. That's in my book. That's in my book, by the way.
Okay.
And,
in this book.
Oh, by the way, you're going to laugh your asses off for 3 solid days, and then you're going to put it down and say, hey, that was profound. I'm so busy laughing. I sneak in the profundity when they're not looking, you know what I mean? So you have to go back and read it again. Everybody has to go back and read it twice. They always do. Anyway, simple and powerful. That's my motto. And stay in the corner. Don't brag about it. Don't bring it up. And don't even tell people some of these things because they're not ready for it. And you can really mess their lives up. So that did keep me a little cautious, but not anymore. I'm convinced we're going to annihilate ourselves if we don't do something in the next 20, 30 years at the most. And I'm trying to say, here's what you've got to do if you want to exist as a civilization. Fat-assed, waddling, eat 3 times a day, everything in sight, and destroying the oceans and the air and the mountains. And you can continue that way, or you'll be all wiped off the planet and it will regrow again. It has 4 times already. There've been 4.
At least.
Yeah, at least 4. And the 5th one is coming up unless we stop being what we're doing. So that gives me a sense of urgency to get some of this stuff out. They could all be running around experiencing synchronicities like crazy if they would just stay open to it and empty and don't get in there. But if you have real problems, you got to start from the bottom of the ladder and work your way up to that. I admit that. But I want you to know what the ultimate is, which is not trying for anything. You're already divine. For God's sake, just let it express itself.
Accept it.
Just let it express itself. Nobody does. It's frustrating. So when I talk about the end of humanity, I'm talking in the sense of, I will almost be relieved if it does happen. I'm going to help them as much as I can before it happens. And if it doesn't, that'll be fine because I'll be in a cave. I'll be hibernating. Oh, I didn't tell you the hibernation thing. I think I told you about the bigu,
Yeah.
the non-eating.
Well, you mentioned it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mentioned the bigu, and then the
Yeah. Why don't you tell it real quick if you can? Can you just run down how do you practice bigu, and then how do you practice hibernation? Because I'm really interested.
all right, yeah, we might end up in the same cave in central United States somewhere.
All right, sounds good.
So
I'd be happy to meet you there.
the secret to bigu is you drink water, and well, they go together. The bigu and the hibernation are roughly the same. You just go down to where you're drinking water for a while. Then you have to eat a pine cone, small pine cone, and swallow it. See, the way the Chinese knew about how to was watching bears. They would watch the bears, and every time the bear came out after 6 months with nothing and he's not dead, that's impressive. They would see him cough up what did I just say that thing was?
A pine cone.
Yeah. And so that's what he does with his teachers in his mountain. He was in a mountain with 3 teachers, and they're 200-300 years old. And he was a little younger, and he came and went because he was younger. But his teachers were several hundred years old, and they do they don't eat anyway, and they will hibernate to where they don't do anything at all for a while, but then they'll come out of the hibernation when spring happens and so forth. There's the whole, I think I have a chapter on him and his friends in the mountain, but I'm not sure. I might have left it out of the book because nobody's going to believe it. But anyway, so they're roughly the same thing, which is what I just said. Oh, why the bears eat the acorn? Because if you don't, he said, my teacher said, if you don't do it, the stomach will collapse in on itself and grow together, and you will die from that. So if you get a thing in there where it can't do it, you can wake up, and he imitated coming out of the mountaintop with his friend, and then he would just go, and it would fly out of his mouth, and off they went from one city to another, helping everybody in the city. Then they would go back in for the winter again in the cave. So
all right.
He's there now. He's 92. And he comes in to visit his sons here in the United States. But he was in the United States only about 25 years, a little bit longer than when I was there. And then he left. He said, I can't take these Americans any longer. He said, off he went. He only comes back at Christmas time to see if he has any new grandchildren.
All right, Mark, let's get back on track.
Okay, yeah.
Why is 3 a childish number and 9 is a powerful number? Let's get back to this.
Well, because it's 3 times this much. That's number one, and it's everywhere. The feng shui the feng shui chart has 8 squares plus 1 in the middle, and that's number 5. Mm-hmm. See, number 5 is the middle number. It's in the middle of the feng shui, but the numbers around it all have great meaning and so forth. That's how you get the feng shui thing. But anyway, they used it to analyze everything. The number is insinuated in almost everything they do because it's the last number. After there, you go back to 1 again. Get it? It's as high as you get in numerology or whatever you call it. I have a friend who is one, and he said, yes, the 9 is the ultimate number. So you can go through life as a 3 or you go through life as a 9. And we got 9 chakras. I'll show you quickly how to do the up and then back down. And so there's 9 of those, there's 9 of this, and there's 9 auras out here like a rainbow. And and a lot of my Tai Chi styles, it was called, what the heck was that called? Hold on a second. This will only be a second. Can't remember the name of it.
9 Rainbow Tai Chi.
Yeah, right. Cosmic.
Yeah, the microcosmic orbit.
Yes. When you watch him and when you watch me move, it doesn't look anything like you fighters. You'll see that I am working with outside the body, and and I'm working with the aura itself and
Okay.
how to move it and manipulate it and keep it there and bring it into where you need it. It's all about the aura and bringing it in. So I need to say I spent a lot of time in my head because I was totally incoherent after that crash. And the doctors still today look at me and say, "We don't believe you're up and walking around at all. It was really gone. There wasn't anything there." Man, it's still that way, but the energy is still there because I accumulated from around me. It's all around us, and how to do that can conquer anything. And there's a lot of students of mine would verify that it didn't matter what they had. I just did an exorcism on somebody. Oh, I haven't told you about that. Or what was I supposed to be telling you? I do exorcism.
The 3 and the 9. Let's do the 3 and 9 before we start talking about exorcism.
The 9 has the Chinese examine the lines in the top of the eye to see what demon is in there. And there's 18 charts. 8 and 1 is 9. Get it? Just because I say 9 is more prevalent, it's not obvious a lot. So they have 18 different things. And I just did one about 3 days ago. I peeled the upper thing back so that I could see what the veins were doing. This was their clue. And see, and I went 3 times with 3 priests, big 200-pound fat pedophiles there saying, "In the name of Jesus," nothing happened because, what jerk off in there is going to be afraid of that fat slob standing there. But I was standing there with what I needed, which was I looked at the veins and saw that they weren't possessed, first of all. And so I said, "I'm leaving. This person isn't even possessed. I'm out of here." A couple of weeks later, they called me and they said, "Oh, that lady, she was just crazier than hell." I said, "Yeah, that's what I said." But anyway, I ran into one that was. Okay, she had the line in there, and this is just the one three days ago. She had the line in there that said a lonely spirit clung into her because that was her weakness and her power at the same time. So they stuck together, and he wasn't real dangerous or anything, but it made her depressed all the time because he was without friends because he was depressed all the time. So she ended up becoming depressed all the time and didn't know why. She thinks I'm possessed. And I said, "You are." And I said, "But I'm not going to kill him off because he's not a bad person. Just we're going to do an exercise that I'm going to show you and talk to him and say, leave or Big Daddy's going to kill you, one or the other. It's time for you to reincarnate." As my teacher would say, dying is no big damn deal. It's like an intermission, a very short intermission between births and rebirths and so forth. It's like, what do you have to fear? You're better off half the time in that place than where you are now. So don't worry about it. So I got no fear of death, needless to say. Shouldn't have gone up with that idiot. Okay. And what was I getting at? Damn it.
You were exercising a woman who had lines on her eyes.
Oh, yeah. That was Can you imagine, out of only 18 possibilities, there's one for a lonely person, and she was it, apparently. So 4,000 years ago, they looked a little ahead. They said, "Oh, in 2020, we're going to have to put a little one in here about a lonely guy." Okay, fine. And that was her. She did it. And now she's talking to him now. And if he doesn't leave, I'm going over, then I know what to do to blow it out of her and kill him. And it happened to me one time with this lady, and it was assigned to me. And so she was homeless. And so I actually let her use my bed. And I was out on the couch. And she would wake up more tired when she went to bed. And her boyfriend ran away from her. So I said, "Well, since you're homeless, you can stay with me till you find something else." Okay, fine. So that's why she ended up in my bedroom. I sure wasn't going to sleep with her because she was really wacko. And okay, so So I said, tomorrow I'll have time to work on you, because I was at the clinic almost all the time. And so I come in, and there's a note, a piece of paper saying, he came back. My boyfriend came back that left her, homeless. He came back, and that was it. I said, okay. So I went to bed, sitting there sleeping, and all of a sudden I wake up like this, and I look down, and there's this red-eyed alligator coming up between my legs for dinner. Wow. I said, no wonder she's weak. This thing would really chomp a lot of energy out of her. So wham, I did that, and he exploded in many different directions, and I had a hell of a good time. So I've already seen what I've learned has real power. And my teacher said that. He said, you never have to worry about a spirit. It's only yang. They're just yang. They don't have any yin. And the body is a deteriorating
nothing.
It's yang here, okay. But they don't have both. You do. You never have to worry about it.
Walk right through them.
Yeah, walk right through them, exactly. And I will. And I might have to do that a couple of days. So keep in touch, and I'll let you know if I had to kill that depressed guy. But I don't want to do that. He's just depressed, Okay.
So why is 3 weak and 9 is strong?
In the time that we have, Mark, I know this is going for a while, but in the time that we have, I want to make sure that people who are watching who are interested in learning more from you, learning more about what you do, where would be the best place for them to connect with you, to find your book and that sort of thing?
My email address is Mark, M-A-R-K, at chi-kung.com. Mark at qigong.com. Anybody can call me anytime. I'm here. I'm doing a lot of Skyping all over the world right now. But yet I'm here most of the time. So you can sit here and listen to me blabber like this all day long if you want. And I don't charge much. That's another thing my teacher told me. You're not here to get rich. You're here to help people. And I first started out as healing everybody. When I was working with the movie stars, I was healing them like crazy and being a big hero. Coppola liked me and his wife liked me and blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden I realized, shit, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to teach self-healing, which is what the title of my new thing on the computer says, self-healing through Tai Chi.
On the computer.
Yeah, right. And so that's where they can get me on the phone. And I don't like when I'm pushing buttons. I hate that. My fingers are so fat. They're so full of energy to make the key go off before I even touch them. So I don't like that, conveying with each other that way. And all my friends do that, especially the young ones. Oh God, don't get me started on the young ones.
Us young people, I know for a fact, though, we're always the bad guys.
So you teach people how to do self-healing over the phone and or Skype?
Yes. And I would charge them if it works. I say I don't charge if it doesn't work. So that's pretty cool. And I got money anyway. I don't need it. So yes, have anybody call me that has problems or questions, and if you live in the area, drop over. We can meet face to face.
What area is that, by the way?
And what?
What area is that?
Santa Rosa, California. It's above San Francisco. It's paradise.
Okay, it's above San Francisco.
The view I have out there, 4 mountain ranges in a row. I have right out that window there because I'm on an 11th floor. Nice. It's just paradise, right? And I'm right on a fault line. And they had enough sense to put in round balls underneath the building. So we did it with opening up, and the building was going like that. And I was out on the balcony waiting to jump out and grab a tree, but then it stopped. So I said, okay. So I came back in and went back to sleep. But boy, that really happened. The building was doing that because there was rollers at the bottom. They knew we were on a fault line, which we are. Anyway, the stories are endless. They're all in my book, and there's a lot of them that aren't in there. So if you want some stuff that I really can't say that easy, particularly the synchronicities of my teacher were, oh my God. Well, one time I was driving from my Florida Hindu center that I was in up to see my parents for Christmas. $40 on me. I don't know why 40 sticks with me, or it should be 90, right? You got to have a 9 in there. But anyway, I was driving. I picked up a hitchhiker driving along, and all of a sudden there's this bang, and we pulled the car over. We were on a ramp, between cities. Pulled the car over and looked down, and the engine fell out. This was a little Renault Dolphin. You don't get into a Dolphin, you put it on. It's so damn small. Okay. And so we're sitting there, and then there was a board there up against the ramp. So we got the board and put it under and lifted the engine back up and shoved it into place roughly. And so what do we do now? Well, let's just jump in, and the car will spiral down around the ramp, come shooting out on this street of whatever city this is. So it stops movement, and we look out, and it says Renault dealer. Hey, this is just another synchronicity. So he and I shove it over and push it up the ramp to them. And the guy says, your rubber stoppers that were holding the engine in place are gone. We can put them in just a few minutes, which they did. There was 4 of them. So that'll be $40, $10 a piece. There's my $40. I didn't eat the rest of the way. And off I went. See what I mean? Another synchronicity, and that happens daily with me. And it can happen to everybody. This isn't me touting my horn. I mean, I'm one with everything, so I got nothing to gain. I got nothing to gain by identifying with this little shit. He's got his brain smashed off, and he's a stand-up comedian by heart, for God's sake. And I get newer every day. So that's the story. I'm sticking to it.
Okay.
It will be your story. You're divine right now. Just let it fly.
So this
I
is
can keep going. I got nothing to do after this, so you might have to pay more money or something to do this. I don't know, but let's keep going.
well, in sorts of keeping it bite-sized.
Bite size.
In keeping with the attention span of millennial age viewers, we'll go ahead and wrap it up. But obviously, we'll say to be continued, because it's great. It's been great having you as a guest, and we can certainly dive deeper into these topics at another time. So, is there one place on the internet, like one website or your Facebook page, one place that people can go that has all your contact information? Like, what's one place you would direct people to?
The one I told you, MARK at.
That's your email address. I mean a web address.
Oh yeah, I have.
It has that information.
I forgot to show you this. Oh, this is going to the I Ching with the 9 lines.
Yeah.
See, there's a broken solid and a triple broken. That's the way it should have been. And this is called the hidden I Ching, because this guy got embarrassed by who's the head of China at that time that was into the I Ching, who said if I had 50 more years, if I had studied the I Ching. Confucius embarrassed this guy, and he left. He had to leave, and his book became non-existent except right here. This guy found it somehow, and it gave me the inspiration that yes, you need 9 lines. It's like water. It's like ice, water, and steam. So the steam is yang. The ice is water, and that's the I Ching right there. That isn't the total 9. Get it? Okay, you got to get the third one in there, and that gives you 9 lines. See? So if you leave out the water, you got no steam or ice, and they left it out because Confucius, that's all he could handle with his thinking. He thinks too damn much. Okay, so I'm saying there's another example of 9 and how it's been used. Okay, it's everywhere.
That's true. That's true.
Should I hang up? I don't even know how to hang up.
Actually, you still hadn't answered my question about a website that people or a place like is you a website or your Facebook page or somewhere that has your contact information that people can go to.
That marketqigong.com does have all the information you need.
All right. So Qigong, qi-kong.com or mark at qi-kong. Got it.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Thanks, Mark. Thank you.
I got 7 DVDs to sell.
Yeah.
But they're not these advanced ones. This is just for the students that have been with me for 20 years. Then they get to learn the advanced one. Because that's powerful energy you're bringing into their body. And if you do it wrong, you really screw yourself up. Okay.
All right.
So we can just say to be continued, and also Mark, I'll let you know that I'm involved with organizing future World Tai Chi and Qigong Day online summits. Those are in the works right now, so we'll be staying in touch with you about that, and looking forward to having you join us with that as well. So it's been a privilege and an honor, and I am looking forward to staying in touch and continuing the conversation. So thanks for coming on, Mark.
Good.
Yeah.
My pleasure.
Thanks, Mark. Yeah, I'm definitely going to email you and ask you some more questions.
Okay.
I still haven't heard that answer about 3 and 9. So we'll talk more, like we said.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Get into 9.
Get into 9. I agree.
I don't even see a button that says go away.
Bye, Mark.
Well, you don't have to worry about it.
Oh,
take care of it.
You can shut the thing down.
We can do it all for you. Don't worry about it. All right. See you later, everybody. Thanks very much for coming.
All right. Sure. My pleasure.